Hello, and thank you so much for taking the time out to listen today. I am speaking on emotionally abusive family members. Emotionally abusive family members. This is a topic that some folks simply do not want you to hear. They do not want to delve deep into. They want things to just continue to go like they always go. I'm just joking. Oh, come on now. You can't take a joke. The name calling. So many individuals, including myself, have gone through that share of foolishness. So we're going to get into this topic because I want some folks to be free. We do believe in the truth setting us free on this channel. So I'm glad that you have taken the time out to tune in. First of all, I'm going to kick this off with talking about the codependent relationship, okay? The codependent relationship is all about dancing around the abuser's behavior, okay? The abuser is doing all these things that you don't like, for instance. These things that hurt you, these things that you cry about, the things that you yell about, the things that you whisper, you're real secretive about because you don't want to make them angry. This person is doing these things, and what you do in a codependent relationship or somebody that you know, right? We could talk about somebody else. What they do is they want to make sure that that abuser is satisfied, that abuser is not going to hopefully abuse them again, okay? The focus here, of course, is on emotional abuse. And in this relationship where emotional abuse is taking place, this codependent relationship, a lot of these codependents are in denial that things are hurting, things are upsetting them. They'll point at somebody else outside the relationship. They'll take their aggression out on, let's say, the children, the dog, everything else but the spouse, okay? That person who's in the codependent relationship, who's the victim, who's being emotionally abused, they need the abuser in some twisted sort of way to boost their self-esteem. Because see, I'm helping, right? I'm doing for this person. I know that he's a little nut job, but I want him. I need him, I can't live without him type of foolishness, okay? So as time goes on, the codependent doesn't know how a healthy relationship feels, looks at other people's relationship as dysfunctional when, honey, your relationship is messed up. You're dancing by the beat of this man's drum. You are trying to appease this woman. I mean, you're doing everything and she's still cussing and she's still fussing and she's still acting threatening and she's still bad mouthing you. I mean, what gives? Stay with me now. I know I'm going to step on some folks' toes, but if that's what it takes to get you out of this relationship, a little pain, you're already dealing with enough pain, dealing with an emotional abuser. So a little pain in seeing your truth is not going to hurt. Okay? It's not going to hurt, not as much as that emotionally abusive person, and all of what they put you through. That hurt is a different type of hurt. This is the type of pain or upset that will move on you to be free. I don't care if you don't like me. All I care about is the fact that you're free out of this sort of relationship. I've witnessed this thing play out time and time again. I myself was in a relationship like this. And early on in my current relationship, I seen a lot of this. Okay. I was guilty and so was he. So the reality of this thing is that it can eat at you. It can mess you up. It can cause all sorts of physical ailments. Always concerned about what he wants. Always caught up in all of this stuff with her. Let's look at the fact that you can be this codependent. Time and time again on these different websites about codependency, they say things like, You know you're a codependent. If you're unhappy in a relationship, but, I fear, I worry, I stress over the options, the alternatives. I could be free, but I don't want to be free because I don't know. I don't have enough money and blah, 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 blah. You see? But you're in an unhappy relationship and you're trying to make yourself be happy in that relationship. Well, so much for that. How's that been working for you? You know you're in a codependent relationship when you're always looking for your partner's approval. Will he be okay with this? I don't know, girl. I mean, that's your man. Oh, well, I don't. It's always about him. It's always about his approval, like he's your father or something. And some of these codependent victims, or whatever you might want to call an individual who is exemplifying this sort of behavior, they don't want you to talk about that abuser. So if you are that one that wants to boldly talk about her no good man or or that no good, what type of dude that she's with, you're just making them draw even closer to him, because now you're going to be that common enemy that they talk about. You know what my daddy said about you. You know what your mama said about me. You see. So, I know you want to free somebody, help somebody, but if they're not willing to see the truth for what it is, they will be in their mess. Another thing about these folks who are in these emotionally abusive relationships and who are codependents, family relationships especially, they will totally neglect the needs of themselves as well as their intermediate family members to run over there to see about family. You needed that money to pay rent, to keep the lights on, to get your car insurance, to take care of your other bills, but you took that money and you went over there and you helped those folks. Why? Or you take somebody else's money and you go and help those folks. But you got your own needs, I know. But why do you keep doing that? Well, because don't do it again. Don't do it again. Some of you all today, tell yourself, I'm not going to do this again. And make sure that you mean it. If you have to write it down, I'm not going to do this again. And anybody who walks by who says, what's that all about? You don't even get into detail. Just let yourself know, be reminded, I'm not going to do this again. As you are making changes, the emotional abusers are going to pick up on those changes. When you're in these codependent relationships with folks, guess what they want you to do? Especially, once again, abusive folks. They want you to forget about everybody else. It's all about them. Forget about your friends. Forget about your family members. It's about me, baby. It's about grandma. It's about mom. It's about whoever is that lowercase g God in your life. It's about them. How much money have you spent on that person? How many years have you went without because of that individual? How many relationships broke up behind these people? You see, start thinking about these things and you'll see the truth once again for what it is. Another thing that codependents that are tied to these emotionally abusive people do is that they're always criticizing themselves through the eyes of the abusive person. Meanwhile, though, that what you heard was wrong. That what you experienced with that abusive person was not right. I don't care what they said. No, you're mistaken. You don't know what you're talking about or whatever. No, your instinct, your gut feeling. This is abusive, isn't it? Yes, it is. So why are you continuing to deal with that person? Well, he told me that the reason why he did this was because of, or the reason why my mom said that was because of, forget all of their little explanations. Okay. Well, she said that sometimes I tend to act stupid, and I know sometimes I tend to be, whoa, wait a minute. And then you think about what all the person told you and you're like, no, that person is just trying to get the upper hand on you once again. They're controlling you. You're sitting up there, you're calling yourself stupid and dumb and crazy and all that because why? That person calls you stupid and dumb and crazy, but that's not who you are. You may make mistakes. You may have your shortcomings, but what about them? What about them? You're the one that's always making any number of sacrifices for folks. But meanwhile, what has he done for you lately? What has she done? Okay. Holiday seasons, always got to be the one to run over there, to do this and do that. You come into town, they want you to run to this person's house and that person's house and everybody else's house. But nobody wants to come see you. And you're the one who came into town. Oh, my goodness. Some folks choose chaos. They choose the drama. They choose the trauma. Tried to talk some sense into some folks a long time ago, but they didn't want to listen. Okay? Codependents don't want to listen when they are sold out for their abusers. That's why you guys, some of you all, you get so frustrated with them. Doesn't she realize? She realizes, but she comfortable. Unless you plan on paying her bills, unless you are going to make her feel safe, getting her out of that situation, she going to stay there. There's the defense. They're just defending them. No, that's not what he really meant. No, he just tends to blow up sometime. No, I mean, he's okay. He's all right. It's not okay. It's not all right to treat you like that. You see? Codependent's going to take the blame and take the blame some more. That abuser said you did it, therefore you did it. The abuser said that what you meant was this and that, and you say, okay, yeah, that's what I meant. There's always this rescuing that takes place when they're down and out. Here comes the savior. Codependent is going to spend up the money again. Codependent is going to drive long distances again. Codependent is going to take chances with children, take chances with the pet and everything else just to get over there to the abuser. Codependents feel guilty. Oh, I stood up for myself. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. Maybe I shouldn't have yelled. He deserved it. She deserved it. Because you're tired. You're tired of the foolishness. You're tired of them, controlling and manipulating and doing any number of things, calling names and stuff. They believe that, you want me, you gonna stay with me because I got this and I got that. Well, there's somebody that got more than what you got. See, once you come out of codependency, you don't take all of this no more. You're not running and ripping like you used to. And when you realize this, that's when the abuser starts saying stuff like, baby, no, baby, I love you. I can't live without you, baby. Come on now. Don't do this. Don't do this. And then the prideful ones, they ain't going to do any of it. They just going to sit there and look at you. They're not crying. They're not doing anything. Go ahead on then. But then later they start thinking about some things. Well, I could have used her for this. And well, I mean, wait a minute. Let's come up with something. It's never going to be an apology. Most abusers do not apologize. Some will, but most of them don't. Because you were at fault. Because the reason why we're here is because of you. You see. But when the codependent gets out of that frame of mind of what we discussed, this is what I see. This is what I noticed for or at least with the ones who have survived and who are now victors, and even with myself. First of all, you acknowledge that you're unhappy, and you even tell that person, look, I'm unhappy just as much as you are. Okay. There's no more sugarcoating. There's no more beating around the bush. There's no more putting up pictures on Facebook or somewhere else, making it look like y'all so in love when you know that you haven't been in love with that man in a long time, or those family members. You haven't been in love with your family members in years. Take. All right. So first up, look, I'm unhappy with you all. You all did a lot of dirt. You did a lot of messed up things, not just to me, but to other folks. Okay. So you acknowledge it, and you're not concerned no more about, ooh, what happens if he's no longer in my life? What happens if the family don't call me and all that foolishness? You're done. You're past that. The other thing is that you start doing for you. No more, oh, I'm going to put my needs off. You want the car, you get the doggone car, girl. Right? You're not putting that money off to the side to help them and do for them. And the holidays are coming up and I'm buying for them. Are they doing all that for you? No. 9 times out of 10, when you look at what they've done compared to what you've done, that little chump change, that little bit that they did, please. Okay? You sitting on the phone for hours and hours listening to them. The minute you mention something about what you going through, they're like, oh, okay, and then they carry that information, calling you stupid, calling you dumb, calling you a fool. So nope, I don't have an ear to hear your foolishness no more. Come on, the codependent is getting out of the codependent and becoming independent. Okay. While if you're spiritual, you're leaning on God because God shows you these things. You're not throwing away any of your hobbies anymore. You're not, putting off your friends anymore. Matter of fact, you done made some new friends. You got, extended family members you're dealing with that they told you don't deal with and all this. Because you're not concerned about trying to please the matriarch, the patriarch. You're not concerned about trying to please your partner or whoever else. It's about what makes you happy. And that person that you're connected to or that friend or whoever, they make you happy. Okay. For some of you all, I'm giving you so much information that you're going to be ready to get rid of some folks. But make sure that you pray first. And then, of course, it's no longer about, I mean, do you approve of this and approve of that? Look, that's your life. You don't need to call that woman up and ask her, what does she think about controlling, emotionally abusive woman, like to call you names and stuff. No. I approve this message. I approve where I go and who I go with. I approve. You see, I'm telling you, for some of you young people, once you reach grown, for real grown, not just running around here talking about you're grown, you're going to do these types of things. And you're going to stop being somebody's punching bag. You're going to stop being that person that's going along with everybody else's program but your own. You see. You're not concerned about what your abuser thinks, how you look in his eyes, how you look in the family's eyes, all this other stuff. Nope, I'm not concerned. I remember when one particular relative got to that place where she decided, I'm going to let everybody know how I feel. Because for years I had to keep some stuff in. And I was like, bravo, good. Instead of holding that stuff in, being the one that's up there complaining to the partner, but you never speak up and you never say anything to them. That was a victorious day for her. All this sacrifice business. Women have historically, interesting that I'm recording this during Women's History Month, but women have historically, not all, but many of them have just made ridiculous sacrifices. And I say ridiculous, like to the point where you don't even know your name half the time because you're just always this person and that person, and I'm giving up this and I'm giving up that. And but what are all these people giving up for you? You see? What are they doing? And it's okay to be alone. If I got to go through all of this, then, forget it. That's where some of you all are. You know what? I don't want to deal with all this foolishness any longer. You see, that's why you're standing up. That's why you're fighting for your rights. I'd rather be alone, somebody says. If it means that I got to go through all of what I went through back in the day, because this relationship is looking a lot like this person's relationship and that one, forget it. I don't want it. I don't want it. I'll be alone. You see? And there's nothing wrong with that. Matter of fact, there's so many people that got great stories of being alone. You don't answer to anyone. You don't have a ton of responsibilities. You're not making the sacrifices. You're not concerned about what that other person thinks. If it hasn't worked out for you, then accept being alone. Enjoy it. Relationships haven't worked out, then accept being alone. Enjoy it. Biting tongues, keeping the peace. I heard that a lot. Ooh, let me just bite my tongue. Let me keep the peace. That's old school. These new school females are not doing that. I'm going to speak my mind. I'm going to tell you how I feel. And there's nothing wrong with it. Go ahead on, girl. Tell them how you feel. Because back in the day, we would have never said that. And some of us, some of the things that I hear some of these women saying, I still ain't going to say some of them. Just because I know when you with old school, you have to act a certain kind of way. When you with the new school, yes, go ahead on. But when you are that woman who you know where that man came from, you know his history, you got to do some things differently. Some of you other ones, you know, I understand why you do what you do. I'm not knocking you. I'm not judging you because, hey, those other folks aren't paying the bills. I get it. But if you want freedom, though, these are the types of things that you do. You speak up. You stop making all them sacrifices. You are good with being alone. You start making efforts to be independent. Okay? No more of that. I'm going to take full responsibility for what I said, for what I did. You've been doing that. You said that, you said it, and you said it some more. When is he going to take responsibility? When is she going to take responsibility? When is the mother going to start mentioning all the stuff that she did that hurt you? When is the father going to acknowledge the pain and the suffering? When is the, brothers and sisters and all these people who want to talk about all of what you did and what you said and all that, when are they going to talk about what they did and what they said? The reason why you did what you did and said what you said. You see? There's no more of that foolishness. No continuing on and on and on about what all you did and how you apologize. And oh Lord, because now after a while you do start to look weak when you just keep apologizing over and over again. Some folks, they're just not going to accept. There's some folks that want to keep you in that box. They're abusers themselves while they're accusing other people of being abusive. They are abusers themselves. And then we got these individuals who they know that this relative and that one, they got the drug habit, they got the alcohol habit, they got all these different habits, gambling habit, and they are trying to rescue, trying to help and all that. When you become independent and you're coming out of codependency, you're no longer rescuing. Nope, I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to love you from a distance. I can't do this with you any longer. I can't sit on the phone and listen to your drunken stupor, and all of what everybody said and did and how you hurt and blah, blah, blah. No, no more. Get some help. And the other thing that you're doing too is that you are standing up for yourself and there's no longer any of that guilty stuff going on. Okay? I don't feel guilty. I don't feel guilty for standing up for the truth, for righteousness, for my faith. No guilt whatsoever for telling somebody that I don't like what they're doing right now and I don't appreciate what they're saying. This business of telling yourself, well, maybe I deserve this, and no, I don't deserve any of it. Okay? See, this is where you are growing and you pat yourself on the back. I don't deserve any of this. I'm not feeling guilty anymore. I'm standing up for myself. I'm not defending him. I'm not defending her. I'm not defending none of the liars, the pimps, the players, the hustlers. See, this channel has gone so deep without saying that to all the codependents out there, be free. But when you think about it, a lot of these audio messages are putting you on a path of getting out of codependency without calling you a name, because you already been called names. You don't need another name. You don't need another label. You just need to know, what do I do to get out of this thing? What do I do to just be free? What does it take to be free in Christ? I got to take you back to Christ. I got to take you back to faith. I got to take you back to the spiritual side, because see, the enemy used the abuser to break you down spiritually. This is some of the tactics that he does. That's why I'm saying if you want to be empowered, this is the sort of thing that you do. You flip that script. You flip it. He said that, oh, nobody loves you like I do. You know, he said that you're not going to be able to find anybody like me. Other folks were saying things like, we're your family. You know, families stick together. We thicker than thieves and all this other stuff. Yeah, we got some thieves in the family. I don't want to be close to them. You see? So when I made up in my mind that I'm like, I don't care what this charmer says. I don't care what these people who are nothing but manipulators say. I know that there's other people out there that I can speak to. I know that I can have a relationship with some folks that know we're not connected by blood, but we're connected spiritually. Hallelujah. Praise be. Right? God is great. He brought us together for good reason, whether it's the comment section, whether it's spiritually praying for one another. You see, and when they're putting all this pressure, these folks who they know we're free or we're on our way to being free, I mean, in so many words, right? Or some of them don't even say any words, but they let you know that I can't do this without you, baby. I want you. I mean, I need you. Look, come on now. Let's reevaluate these things. You know, I'm not good with words, but I'm good with freedom. I'm not going down that circle again. I'm not going down that hole again. Or around and around. I'm not doing it. Bye. See you. You just got some powerful tips on getting out of that codependent cycle and being free. And what I did, I used examples. What I did to say no more. This is not going to work. This is not going to work. And some of you all, it's a process. Some of you all, it's not about getting rid of the people. It's just about doing the things that I mentioned to let them know, I see you. I know what you up to, and I'm not putting up with this. So if you don't want to lose me, stop with this. Just stop. If you want me in your life, then these are the things that you just going to have to deal with. I'm changing. I'm growing. I'm grown. You see? And for some of them, they didn't want us to grow up. They really didn't. They wanted to keep us in a child state of mind. Why? Because you can control children. You can put them in check when they're real young. Once they get older, it gets hard to do that. You see? But some of them in their mind, they thought they could steal because, well, you're so nice and you're, a believer and you're trying to do these things. And okay, but this area right here, we going to still check you. We still going to put you in a box. No, you're not. No, you're not. Because I know what I can do. I can walk. I can move on. You see, emotional abusers, for some of you all who need to be reminded of the things that they've said and done, or some of the things you witnessed somebody else go through. You got to recognize this in order to be free, in order to stop being a codependent, or know that, or to understand what you're doing that is keeping this sort of thing going. The abuser got you in this space, this headspace, mentally, physically, spiritually, where it was about them, all about them early on. They had these little catchphrases, little names that they thought was cool and okay. Some of you all, you throw that B word around way too much. I'm sorry. And some others, they throw the N word around way. Really, these are not good names. I don't care if you're flipping it around and trying to put a pretty bow on it. They're not good names. But these folks were calling names in the family. Okay, that's how they got us early on when we were young. You're stupid. You're dumb. You don't know what you're talking about. Then once we got older, I know one particular individual called me the B word. Okay. This was the last person I thought was going to call me a B word, but because I wasn't doing something that she wanted, I was that word. Okay. That's how they get you, because you don't want to be that word. So you try to prove yourself. Then there's those in relationships, there's the pet names, right? They called women back in the day, a lot of them, and they still do, little animal words, right? Deer, bird, squirrel, bunny. That's emotionally abusive. Some folks are like, what? I didn't even know that, because that's what I call. Well, it is. Because you don't need a pet name for somebody who is a God-given, God-created being in your life. You can call them something, much better than that. How did they get us in? They got us in on doing all sorts of things, like talking to people about us and talking to us about how stupid and how dumb, and you always messing up, you always this and you always that. And it's like, I don't always do all of those things. Yes, you do. I got into arguments with quite a few individuals about that always word. Okay. It goes on and on. All these websites got all sorts of interesting information about the emotionally abusive individual. They're going to push your buttons, they're going to annoy you. They're going to demand that you say this and you do this and all that. Stop. Just stop. I don't want to talk about this right now. I do want to talk about it, but just not right now. I got some other stuff I need to do. Now here comes the name. Putting down the stuff that we're into. Why are you doing this? Like for me, being a writer is not one of them exciting types of things. I'm doing what I'm doing. This is what I like. And in one relationship, I couldn't even pick up a pen. I couldn't even write one word. In a new relationship, I was writing all sorts of stuff. You see? I mean, you flourish when you're around the right folks. You flourish. You got family members who, oh, why are you into that? I mean, none of us are into that. Well, that's you all. I mean, do black folks even do that kind of thing? You see? Now you got to throw in ethnicity. Why? What is up? You see? Threats. They're like, they're spying on you, checking behind you, seeing what you up to, what you're doing, because they need something. They need something to hang over you. They're telling you how you should spend your money. And a lot of times it's to benefit them in some kind of way. They're demanding, telling you to do this and do that and get mad and all this other stuff. I saw that firsthand. And then there's, of course, the outbursts, getting all loud, whether it's behind closed doors or out there in the open, or maybe it's not loud, but it's a whisper, but it's a mean whisper. Checking folk left and right, treating folks like kids. I'm not your child. I heard that one. I'm not your child. You better go head on with that. You see. Emotionally abusive people, they don't want to sit down and talk. After a while, they want you to walk out or they going to walk out. But we didn't reach a resolve. We're not, because you always want to do this and you always want to say that. See, there they go again. You dummy, you stupid. And so you got pulled in. You got pulled into codependency with the emotionally abusive individual. And mind you, this isn't the occasional stuff that goes on. For some of these people, they do this like all the time. They're always calling somebody a name. They always easily offended. I mean, it's something that happens a lot, And they sit up there and they talk about what we always do. Well, you always calling me a name. Or you always got something that you're mad at me about. They'll use other folks. They'll bring other people in and say, yeah, well, so-and-so said you was crazy. Mm-hmm. What? Yeah, when we was at the family holiday event, so-and-so said this and that and the other. And I told you was crazy. I told you that. See, there we go. They're going to accuse you of stuff. They're going to blame you. And then, of course, they're going to deny all of what they've done. Oh, no, I didn't mean anything by that. Oh, no, I didn't hit you, or I didn't call you a name. You see. And then when you say, well, this hurts me or what have you, come on now, that little thing, there's the trivializing that goes on too. And you shoulda, coulda, woulda, blame. That's why we got lost. That's why, we didn't make it here and make it there because of you, because of your family. They make jokes about you and they laugh about it. They think it's funny, or if you trip, or if something that typically other folks will be like, oh, you okay? You all right? Oh, please. She's a klutz, So you got family members, once again, they're doing all this sort of stuff, They're blaming you. They're shaming you. They're accusing you of abuse, even though they're the ones that's guilty as charged. You didn't call them a name, but they called you a name. And so when you call them a name back, no, you shouldn't do that. Why you do that to me? Because you did it to me. They'll say stuff like, oh, you owe me. Why do I owe you? Because I did this and I did that for you, but I'm not in a situation that I could help you. I don't know if I could ever help you. Oh, here we go. And then, of course, this one really hurts. This one is, a lot of us, we experience this. If you're from the old school, you experienced it because that's the way the men were back in the day. The emotional neglect and isolation is a big one. There's the, shutting you down. You don't need to talk. I already told you what to do. You go ahead on. Ignoring you when you're reaching out to them because you're not important. You're not important. The king of the castle is important. The man of the house is important. The person who makes the most money is important. You see. The mother who is esteemed by all and all of what she did and all her sacrifices, even though she does some dirty things, some messed up things. The father, he's provided all this. Yeah, but there was the dehumanizing that went on. You see, some of you all, you got that. You got that in you because you grew up around it, or you got pulled into it and became a victim because it was all familiar, looking everywhere but in your face. They don't see you as someone to be respected. They figure out ways to keep you from going out and enjoying your life, socializing, having a good time. Why you want to mess with them? Why you want to go over there? Well, I don't like that family. That family said this, that family did that. Why can't you just stay with us? You see? Then they're telling you stuff that you don't think is important. They make a big deal about it. They cause division between other family members. Then you got those in intimate relationships that are emotionally abusive, where they just want to keep affection to themselves because I'm not ready to touch you or hug you or any of it. I don't want you to kiss me. Okay, so you want to do that, huh? You want to do that. Okay. And then they'll be the first one crying, victim, and he cheated on me or she cheated on me and all this. Look, you want to play these types of emotionally abusive games in any type of relationship, there are going to be repercussions sooner or later. You got the individuals who, they tune you out. They don't want to hear what you have to say. They waving you off. They're changing subjects and all that, ignoring you. All of this type of behavior does nothing more than create division. It's a plan of the enemy to attack, to get you to be so, once again, focused on that emotionally abusive person that you don't get your work done in Christ. You don't get your needs met. You feel like you're going crazy when you're in relationships like this because, I can't talk to nobody about this sort of thing. I remember feeling that way. I said, what is happening? And when I started getting a voice to speak in all of these relationships I had, not just an intimate relationship, all of them, that's when I was considered the enemy. I don't like her. You liked me as long as I was going along with your program. But now I got my own. And then when they see, once again, that freedom is there, they work hard to turn others against you. And you know what? Those gullible, naive folks who think that they got something coming to them, they'll go along with it. They'll say, oh, yeah, this one said this about you and that one. And I don't know. I mean, you probably did do this and you did that. Okay, there you go. Now you got to cut that one off. You got some folks that when you're trying to explain, the emotionally abusive people, right? You're trying to explain what it is that you need. You're going through a lot and they get an attitude. Oh, you so needy. You need to stop with all of that. But I need some help. I need you to, support me. I mean, I've been supporting you. Oh, goodness. One thing I don't like is some needy women. See? And then you're trying to, do something. And maybe you've given them their space, right? And now you're trying to work on the computer, or you're on the phone, or you're doing something. And here they come interrupting you. I didn't interrupt you. I got an important call. Come on. Why don't you stop with that? Because I got this that I need for you to do. No respect. You're upset. You're going through something. Maybe you lost a family member. Maybe you lost a friend. Maybe you lost some money. Whatever your loss is, and you're going through and they're not doing anything about it. They're indifferent. I remember going through something, and the individual who I was dating at the time, I thought he was going to step up to the plate, and I couldn't even get $20. Another individual, same scenario, sitting up there. I was short in the line, and I said, and it wasn't a habit of mine to be short. This was my first time, and this individual was with me. I knew he had some money. It just got paid. It was a small item, didn't cost much. And he said, well, I guess you'll need to put that back. Both individuals were emotionally abusive people. Now, that was the early signs that those folks were not right for me. And when I expressed how I felt about this sort of thing, these emotionally abusive people were good for just arguing about my feelings. These are my feelings, and you want to tell me that I'm wrong in how I feel right now. The signs are there early on for some of you all dating people. And the signs are there early on if you're letting certain family members back into your life. And I mean, not jealousy, it's something else. If you're doing well, if you're doing good, they're going to find a way to try to make you upset in some way. Whether it's asking you questions, they're going to accuse you. Oh, you must like him. I don't like him. Family members, oh, you're married. What you up to? I'm not up to anything. Oh, because they up to stuff. And when you once again bring things to their attention, they're turning the tables on you. They're saying things like, what were you talking about? I never said that. I know the truth. You don't know anything. Shut up. Nowadays, they call that gaslighting. We just thought the man was crazy. I know what I saw. And you sitting up there trying to question, well, maybe I didn't see. Well, he said that I tend to forget a lot. Maybe I did forget. Oh, I feel like I'm going crazy. That's what they want you to feel like. So as I said, now that you got all this information, and I mean, website after website got all sorts of things about this codependency types of stuff. It's so much of it out here. After a while, you read it and it sounds like it's all the same. But I'm telling you, when you stand up for yourself, when you see these things, when you take every sign, line by line, analyze that thing, you will slowly get the strength that you need to stand up to some folks that still got to be in your life, or to distance yourself from folks who don't need to be in your life. Low contact, no contact. Somebody being abusive, that's not your responsibility. It's not. I thought it was my responsibility to put that crazy man back in a box. I thought it was my responsibility to talk some people down off the cliff. And I found out that after you already been your brother's keeper, you don't have to keep being your brother's keeper. Okay? You don't have to keep doing that. You have a life. I had to set my boundaries because I wasn't about to continue to deal with this foolishness. I'm disconnecting. I'm disengaging. I got other things I need to be doing. I'm focused on my kids. Some of you all got hobbies. You got work. I'm not going to keep getting drawn into the emotionally abusive person's foolishness. I had to cut ties. I followed the counselor's advice, the ones that wrote articles and books, people who talked to me in the church. And then I had to have that time where I had to sit back and heal. And I knew that going back into certain settings, that was not going to be healing for me. It wasn't going to be therapeutic. I was going to end up possibly losing my mind because some of what I was dealing with at the time was a bit too much. You see. And if you got to talk to somebody, you got to talk to somebody. Therapy is out there. Leaving relationships is out there. That's an option. Family members are going to get all upset and get an attitude, and they're going to talk about what they're not going to do for you when you do that with family. Some of them are going to be threatening. They're going to be controlling. They're going to talk about what you missed out on. They're going to, dismiss your feelings. They're going to embarrass you. You got to get ready for some of them, loudmouth, sassy, spicy type of folk. And then you might have to change your phone number or hang up on some people. You might even have to not go to the door and have the police meet them outside. I'm not going to put up with this. I told you. Last time you got simple acting. No, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that. Just come on out. Come on out. I want to talk to you. I fell for that. Let me tell you something. You don't fall for that, especially with a physically and emotionally abusive person. Family member, partner, anybody like that. I fell for that with this man years ago. Said, I just want to talk to you. No, that night he did more than just talk. We ended up fighting. So some of you all know, no sitting down talking is going to help matters. That threatening, getting up, jumping up in your face stuff, sooner or later it's going to turn into something physical. So emotionally abusive family members, friends, partners, what have you, they are among some of you all. You have gotten information on what you need to do to stand up for yourself, to set those personal boundaries. And I just pray in Jesus' mighty name that God will continue to strengthen you, continue to empower you, that angels of protection be encamped all around you. I pray in Jesus' mighty name for healing, because some of you all have gone through some things not that long ago. I'm praying for healing. That person had no right to treat you the way he or she did, mistreat you. And I'm praying that justice be served, be dealt with on that individual. Some of you all, you need to go to the book of Psalms and pray some David prayers, because this doesn't make any sense to have to keep going through like this. So, thank you. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to listen. And may God richly bless you as well as those that you love. Please do check the description box for anything that might be of interest. You've been listening to YouTube NM Enterprise 7. Feel free to give if you would like, and blessings to you.